Hi, this is Donna Druchunas, and in this video I'm going to show you the beginning part of my Wonderland pie shawl. So this is the center of it. It starts right here in the middle, and I'm working on a little bit of it right here where I just cast on and started knitting the first round. Now I've put my 8 cast on stitches, 2 on each of double pointed needles, but you might have magic loop, so you'll have 4, 4, 4, 4. We're going to have 8 sections in the end. The very first round of the chart A, which I'll show you in a minute, is just yarn over, knit 1 around. So we're going to do a yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. So you start with 2 stitches on each needle or in each of the parts, and you end up with 4. So you start with 8 total and you end up with 16. So first rounds of these kind of shawls are always fussy. I try to keep it pretty flat so that stuff isn't floating around. And you might have noticed I'm knitting into the back of my stitches. That's because I did a crochet hook beginning and I put my stitches backwards on the needle. So, but basically it's just, see how fussy it is? Yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, all the way around, and you have 16 stitches. Okay, so that's just the starting point of this. And see how you got that little center part? I can tighten mine up because I used that crochet cast on in the video that I have in my Pie Shawl Basics playlist. And then we just continue. So that's how this starts. And we're going to have 4 charts in the first part of the knit along. This spiral part is chart A, and if you did the doily last week in the knit along, you'll have noticed it's very much the same, except the doily just has 1 yarn over here, and in this we have a second yarn over, so we're having more of a decorative element here. So that's the circle, is chart A. Then this part with these petals on the outside of the circle is chart B. And then we're going to work the next section with chart C and D, C and D, C and D interchangeably around. So this is also in your knit along part 2 of the handout, showing you chart A, chart B, C, D, C, D around. And then here you can see a more close-up of the chart C area, how it has 2 little bell or petal sections, and then chart D is just a mesh that goes in between each of the chart C ones. So because we have 8 sections all the way around that we start in the center, we have 4 chart C's and 4 chart D's. So it's just staying in 8 sections, but they have different things in them. Okay, so that's the basic setup of what we'll be doing. Now in your handout for this part of the knit along, chart A is pretty self-explanatory. I started here, yarn over, knit 1. We have 8 stitches, so we're going to do that 8 times around. Yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, like I showed you. Then there's a plain round where you just knit. Then this round's actually the same, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, except we're going to have 16 going to 32 stitches, then some plain rounds, and then we have these yarn over knit 1s mixed with decreases, and the decreases are what make these sharp lines, and of course the yarn overs make the holes, the lacy part. So that's pretty easy as far as lace knitting goes. Just notice that once you get up to row 8, you're going to have some decreases. No yarn overs on the even rows, but decreases. And if it helps you to put a marker down here to separate into the 8 sections, you can see that you're going to be decreasing right before the marker all the time. You'll be increasing right at the beginning of each section after a marker, and then decreasing right before the marker. So putting a marker in and having 8 markers, or if you have your stitches on double pointed needles or magic loop, put markers where you don't have a join between the needles. So on mine, I would put a marker in the center of each needle. So I have 4 needles, and I'll have 2 sections on each needle, giving me the 8 sections. That's how I would do it on here. So you could do that, and then it's really easy, this part. Okay, then this part, I wanted to just show you something. This is the chart that you have in your pattern. And I made a version here with these gray areas because there's one row that's really tricky to chart without them. A lot of times we like to chart this with nothing because you're increasing and the squares are only the stitches you have, and then there's nothing where you don't have stitches because you started with, maybe 12, 14 stitches, and then you're ending up with 20 something, and as you add them, they work into the chart and there's blank. But on row 39 of this chart, way over here, that is nothing. But the way the chart looks just in white, it can be confusing that it's a stitch. So if you look at row 39 in this chart with the gray, which is in the handout for the knit along, you'll see that it's not a stitch. So this section ends yarn over, SSK, knit 1, knit 2 together. And there's nothing there because we haven't increased that yet. Okay, so I hope that helps you with that. So that's chart A and B, and again, that makes this center star. A is the spiral, B is the petals. And then we've got chart C and D, which I have here also somewhere. Yeah, on the back. Okay, so chart C is a big chart, but there's not much lace in it. What I wanted to point out to you on this one is not to miss is that it starts and ends with little stitches that stay even all the way. And these yarn overs increase into that. So these kind of make these straight edges that go up. See them here? These yarn overs. Let me show you on this one. See these yarn overs right here that are on the edges of this wedge? That's what these are here on the outside edges of the chart. And then this in the middle is these bell or petal shapes. Okay, so don't miss those as you're knitting around. Okay, and then chart D is just this tiny little mesh chart, and it does have a repeat. So in each section you're going to do this once, then you're going to do stitches 2 and 3 over and over and over again until you get to the last 2 stitches in the section, and then you just have this little ending stitches to even everything out. So that's all there is to this whole pattern, and we'll be in my Ravelry group in case you have any questions, because not the whole pattern, the middle of the pattern. This looks like a lot, but you're starting with only 8 stitches, so it's going to go really fast. When we come back to the next week of the knit along, we're going to have a lot of stitches, and so we're going to work fewer rounds in each of those sections. Okay, that's it. Bye.